Sometimes my comment section will spout off an entirely random question not dedicated to a video, and every once in a while I like to take an actual time and dedicate a video to these. I do hear a lot, Robbie, you need to respond to comments a little bit. I don't like responding to comments because a lot of people don't genuinely respond back. And I mean, that shouldn't be punishable to most of you, but I feel like if something is really important, we'll make a video on it. And this is going to be one of those relatively interesting questions that was asked of me earlier in the week. So let's dig on into this and see if we can answer this budgetary question, shall we? Alright, so I got a young question here from a duelist. It said, what Link monsters would you buy? I just really want other players' thoughts and opinions. I want to limit my spending so much. I know some are expensive, but list if they are must-have, and if the price is justified, or not even if it is cards like Nightmare Unicorn, Borel Dragon, and possibly Borel Sword Dragon. So we're going to take a relatively interesting approach to this video. I specifically am going to talk about the big three that he has listed here, and we're going to kind of toss in some other ones here. So the big Xyz monsters that I think you're going to need, honestly, really in any situation. So the first one we're going to just start off here is Nightmare Unicorn. So Nightmare Unicorn's price being around the $30. Okay, I'll be real here with you. You should have bought them when they were $25, but that's playing devil's advocate. The price tag, that honestly, there's a big difference between Link 3 and Link 4, and that's not a bad thing whatsoever. But when you look at Unicorn as a card, honestly, when I really look at anything, I step into Unicorn a lot more than any Link 4 I've kind of seen. Now, this is coming from the prospect of being a Sky Striker player. Just having access to Unicorn at literally all stages in the game, I feel that it being a $30 resource that I can just pull out at any time is very important. And that's something else that you need to understand when you're looking at extra deck-esque resources in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that you can have access to at all stages in the game, you're paying for that resource. And once again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's why Goblin needed to go. Being able to have access to that normal summon or extra normal summon at any real point in time was really dumb, actually. Like, I don't know why they did that or why they actually thought that that was a good idea. No, the Goblin needed to go. But having a resource that you can just pull out for essentially a Link 3 that gives you very good arrows to out something for discarding a card, yeah, I'll take it. And I will say that of pretty much every essential Link monster out there that's expensive, I mean, this is not without saying that Nightmare Phoenix and Cerberus are very cheap. Honestly, you need those more than Unicorn, but those are relatively cheap, and I'm not gonna, you know, dog on those too much. So at this point in time, please make sure that you do have your copy of Unicorn. I think that that is a very fair speculation as to something that you should have. I was pulling up stuff you have. Now, next on the list over here is Borel Sword, or Borel, excuse me. Now, Borel is a essential Link 4 that any deck that can honestly step into it, you'd be better off being able to do that, right? Now, Borel in and in itself, being able to steal an opponent's monster as a non-targeting resource is really cute. Like, let's be real here. The fact that you can use it to even... Why were you doing that? Why did they make Borel able to steal stuff? So, you are getting what you are paying for. You are spending anywhere from $20 to $25 for a boss monster that has the means to steal your opponent's stuff. Now, depending on what deck you are playing and things like that, I don't necessarily think you need to spend the money on it. I mean, if you're a Sky Striker player and you can't afford a Borel Dragon, like, I'm already confused by the situation that has kind of arose in here. But let's be real, if you're playing a deck that needs it as a resource, Borel has definitely gone to the wayside, though. He's a lot weaker than he used to be. Still a very good card, and in a deck that you could potentially make him, yeah, I think he's a very good staple card. But are you better off playing without it if you don't have the money? Absolutely. I put more of a answerable solution in Unicorn than I do with Borel Dragon, and that's perfectly fine. Like, to each their own, but I think you can live without the Borel. Like, it's not necessarily needed. Now, on the other side of the equation is Borel Sword Dragon. Now, this is different than Borel, because Borel Sword has means to steal games. And once again, this is what you're paying for. You're spending that $70, $75 price tag. Now, they might be $68, depending on where you're going. But you're paying for that chance to kind of kill your opponent. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very much a game of pay to win in some instances. And Borel Sword is one of those cards that you are absolutely paying for that opportunity to kill your opponent with it. I don't personally think, if you're not playing something that can make it, if you're playing something very casual, then obviously you can play a Borel Sword and have it be a card that you can OTK your opponent with. But once again, you're paying for that situation to take advantage of what your opponent is putting on the field. And I don't think that, casually, I don't think you need the card. If you are looking to play competitive, then unfortunately, yeah, you're probably going to have to pick it up. There's no real ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, if you can afford the Borel Sword for the OTK generator that it makes, then it will make your deck slightly more consistent. Getting one win off of a resource or a game that you normally couldn't find yourself winning, well, that's good. It's still one more win under your belt, and it did push your percentile up even slightly. A bit is more than nothing at all. So once again, you're paying for that resource to basically kill your opponent with. But outside of the three, like the extensional link monsters that are going to cost you the most money, obviously, fucking Unicorn is the one that, like, I can live without the other two. Well, I don't know about Borel Sword, but there's that. Now, essential staples. Now, Firewall Dragon, if you don't already have a Firewall, and your deck doesn't really need Firewall to kind of do the combos that Firewall Dragon does, I also don't think that Firewall Dragon is a card that you should be spending your money on right now, especially in Link Era. Now, when I look at Unicorn, Borel Sword, Borel, like, these are all cards that interact on another level as a resource. And then I look at Firewall Dragon, I'm like, cool, so if I'm playing a deck that can spam more Link monsters and things like that, sure, like, it becomes good because you can, you know, extensively pass. Yeah, there's the old Firewall pass meme, alright? Standing alone, Firewall kind of sucks asshole. And there's not much to really say or do about that. It's just his fundamental card design kind of blows. Just in the grand scheme of things. Like, no, like, if you do not spend money on a Firewall if you're not playing a Firewall based deck, unless you need a Cherries target, then that's what a Soul Days for. A Soul Days have already gone down in price, and that's another honest to God question that you're going to need to ask yourself here. If you're looking at picking up all of this stuff, are you planning on playing Cherries? Like, this is a very good question. Like, I know your question was like extra deck cards that you should pick up and use, but Isolde is a Cherries target, and she's gone down a little bit. But like, the question I have to ask to you is like, how much Dark Goki are you running into at your locals? What kind of deck are you playing? Like, I think the $16 price tag on an Isolde for a Ghost Reaper target is pretty good, but that would be under the assumption of already having a unicorn. Like, all else, at all stages in this game, like, I think that the unicorn is the one that you need to go for, but that Isolde Cherry's target is some really real consideration needing to be had right there. Now, obviously we're all predicting Dark Goki to die at this point, so if for some reason Dark Goki lives and it's still as powerful as ever, then I would give some real consideration to the Isolde within that. Outside of that, I mean, honestly, I think you need to have essential staples like Cerberus and Nightmare. I mean, they're very cheap. You shouldn't have any real problem with this. Unicorn is an essential staple, I honestly feel. And, I mean, Summon Sorceress is getting the reprint, so she's going to be much cheaper than she actually was. Same thing with, like, Linkariba. Linkariba was only a couple bucks. I mean, outside of, like, the little essential staples, like, get yourself a unicorn, honestly. Like, it'll be the best for you. So, remember, you're also paying for that OTK generator with Borel Sword. So, do you guys agree with my opinion or not? Please, leave a comment down below. This is just speaking generically, of course, for Link format. And, well, that's all I got for this discussion, guys. Peace out. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a Truffle Shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vanquil40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.